Hi, it's Carol from Allergy Free Living, and this morning I'm going to show you how to make gluten-free meatballs. Now, the first thing I want to do is give you a tip about how to make the gluten-free meatballs, kind of like the ones that we were used to before we got diagnosed with this lovely thing. So right now I'm using this brand, which I showed in my pantry. If you haven't seen it, go look for the must-have pantry and you will see all the things that you need. But you use all kinds of different, breadcrumbs, but you need to look out for one thing, and that's this. This particular breadcrumb, I'm going to put it up to the camera. You see how it has a lot of granules? You really want it to be like this. See how fine that is versus the granules. So I put this through a grinder to get it to be nice and soft like this. And it's fine, and you want that. Now, just so that you know, every breadcrumb company makes theirs differently. This company, you don't have to put it through the grinder. I don't even have to bring it up. You can see the difference in this. I could use this as well. It's just that I wanted to show you about grinding your breadcrumbs. So every company is different, but in this particular one, you want it to be nice and soft. So this is what we're going to use. So we're going to start with our 2 pounds of ground beef. And this is not a long recipe. It's very, very few things in it. The breadcrumbs, 2 cups. And this is the grated cheese. It's 4 tablespoons. And I have a little bit of parsley, and usually I take it out. There was a teaspoon, and I just kind of crush it when I put it in, because sometimes they come out almost leafy, so you don't want that. And here is salt and pepper. I think it's a quarter of the pepper and a half of the salt, but I will write that in the ingredients when I upload this. Okay, now the last are the 2 eggs beaten. And you're going to mix it. This is what it looks like now. And I'm going to mix it. And I do have water here in order to get it to be a nice consistency. If some people would prefer to put another egg in, you can do that too. This one, I use water, but it's mixing up pretty well. I might put in a little. Now, if this was me just doing this, I'd be using my hands. But today I'll use the spoon. And I'm going to add just a little bit more water, and then I'll show you what it looks like. I just think that meatballs are really good if they're nice and soft and moist. I don't like those dry ones. So, okay, just a little more, and then I'm going to show you. Okay. This is what it looks like now. So what I'm going to do is, before I put it in the oven, my oven's 400, I'm going to make a couple so that I can put them in the oven now. And you can see what it looks like. So I use a scooper. This is about maybe a little under a tablespoon. And I do it like this. See? It's a little bit more than the scoop. And I'm doing 3 of them. You don't have to be, you know, really precise. So I've got them, and I put a little bit of oil on the bottom of the pan so it doesn't stick. But I'm just doing this so I can put them in the oven, and hopefully they usually take about 10 minutes. So in 5 minutes, you know, I'll go and probably flip them over, because you probably do have to flip them over. Some people don't. If you don't want to flip it over, if you wanted to just do the whole entire time, then I have my oven at 400. If you don't want to flip it over, then I'd say put it at 350, because if you leave it for 10 minutes at 400, you're going to burn the bottom of this. So let's put this in. Now, I put my timer on for 5 minutes because I am going to flip it over. And now I'm going to put the rest of them on this, okay? On this one. And I'm going to put some oil on it because you don't want the meatballs to stick. And they will stick. They will, when you're turning them over to go to the other side, if you don't have oil on it, you'll break them, and you don't really want to do that. Okay. So again, I'm going to do the same thing, but I just go through the whole thing. I put them all first like this, and when I'm done with all of them, then I'll roll them at the same time. If some are bigger than the others, it's okay, because when I'm done cooking them, this is up to you what you want to do. I'm making the meatballs, and I'm just going to put them in sauce. So if you put them in sauce, that cooks them a little more. So if you really don't want to do the whole 10 minutes or whatever it takes to cook your meatballs, I don't know how thick you want them, if you cook them in the tomato sauce, then you'll be fine. I usually put my meatballs in the sauce, and I let them simmer very, very low, a low simmer for probably an hour or more. And then I turn it off, and I take them out of the sauce, because if you leave them in the sauce the whole entire time, they'll suck up every bit of your sauce. So I cook them for about an hour and a half or so. Then I take them out and I put them aside. And they're nice and soft. And I'm doing all of them because I want you to see how much you're going to get out of this recipe. Because maybe you don't want this many, so you'll cut your recipe in half. It's up to you. Once I roll these, I'll have plenty of room on this jelly roll pan. Okay, done with that. Now, remember I always talk about gluten-free and water? Well, you're going to need water. So I dip my hands in water, get it on the palm of my hand, and this is what I do. By using the water, it keeps all that meat stuff from getting all over your hands and just making a general mess. So I'm going to roll these, and while I'm rolling, we're going to just talk about what this whole video for me on this gluten-free, we're working at it, so I just want to let you know that I know that maybe the lighting isn't as good, or maybe you can't see everything, which I have to keep doing this for you. You'll see where I'm working on it now. A little bit of time, hopefully I'll work out all the kinks. But right now, this is what I have, and it's more important for me to get this message out to you. And I really feel, and I hope, that you'll just overlook all this stuff that I have to do this all the time to you. Hopefully I'll get it all down, but getting the message to you is more important to me than making sure the lighting is 100%. So you might have to put up with it for a while. But this is what you have to do. And actually, a lot of people, they will fry these in a frying pan. I used to do that, but I stopped because, yeah, they're good. Excuse me, there's my 5 minutes. It takes a little time, but you can make food like you used to make before, and that's great. Now, I'm done rolling them, and this is what they look like. Now, I have some grease, and I'm just going to kind of move them around so that they have their own little spaces, that they're not in with each other. And a lot of times people will make these meatballs, cook them in the oven, and for 10 minutes or whatever, because everyone is different. Maybe you want thicker ones, or maybe you want thinner ones. So I'm sure you're probably already used to that process. It's important for me, I like to flip mine. So if I give it 10 minutes, I use 5 minutes, and then I'll flip them. And then I just see what they look like. And then in another 5 minutes, I flip it over again and see how it works. I'm going to put these in the oven right now. Okay, now I already made some, so just so you could see, and I won't be wasting your time, this is what they look like. Okay, done. Right in here. Again, here, I hope you have the patience. I hate handling them. But this is it. Now, if you're going to make sauce out of this, with this, I mean, if you're going to put your meatballs in a tomato sauce, this is what I suggest. What I do is, if they're not 100% cooked, and these might not be, I always put my meatballs in my spaghetti sauce. And I put it on low, and they simmer for about an hour, maybe a little more. And when that time has come, then I take the meatballs out and I put them in another container. Because if you leave the meatballs in the sauce while they're cooking, you won't believe how much of the sauce it will suck up into these meatballs. But when you put them in for the right amount of time, they'll come out with a really nice flavor. So it's up to you. Some people don't want to do that, and that's fine. I'm just telling you what I do. So that ends this today, and I hope that you all enjoyed it, and I'll see you again with some other really good recipe. So take care.